We got the first Flunder sighting that I've seen in a second, more Mech, and finally, Tearalaments are equalizing the playing field. Don't make 30% of you guys have not smashed, just smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so we can climb up the 100K here. Your breakdown here for the New Jersey Gamers' Choice Regional is pretty straightforward here, ladies and gentlemen. We have 2 Sprite in top cut. Okay, so this wasn't a totally Sprite-dominated metagame, which actually tells me a lot for once, all right? Like, while Sprite was a huge dominating force out of week 1 in a lot of regionals, a lot of other areas didn't necessarily see that same dominant presence that we'd seen with other things. This is also the first regional that, well, had decent Tearalaments showing. Actually, I take that back. I think there was 2 regionals this weekend that had Tearalaments in pretty good showcasing out here. So I think that's a pretty important thing to kind of take note on as well here. Now, your rogue representation here. We had 1 Mech make it in to top cut. Mech, I say this a lot now, but like this deck has been tearing up the scene now. Like, so many players are just looking at everything right now going, what is going on here? What? Yeah, Mech domination continues. We also had the first Flounder deck that I've seen in a hot second. What Sword Soul? But I'm glad to see that Flounder is keeping up. I definitely did give this deck a lot more oomph than I guess I overthought it could handle the meta too much. But it's doing it. Sky Striker's still holding on for dear life here, man. Like, there have been so many one-off showings for Strikers that it's been really, really good. And then we've also got Exosister out here making another grand showing as well. So your overall breakdown for this, not too bad. Pretty much what I would expect so far here for the breakdown. The first list we're going to be looking at here is 8th place, none other than Exosister here. Now, in terms of well-written decks on paper here, this is pretty much what I expect to see with this. I also like the Helki Fibrex in here to go into the Selene to get access code talker plays up and running. You don't really see a lot of that with these particular builds. We got to stick to, the Exceed Summon mechanics and stick to things because of good old Martha. Shout out to all the hand traps in this deck because that's going to be the main reason why this wins. And we're also still playing Token Collector. So many of these builds basically threw away, the application of having Token Collector. So overall, pretty straightforward on paper. I really wish that there was like something else, like there's no Carpe Diem in here. No, we're not even playing the card that jams out during the opponent's turn. Not really much of a point to. While the card is extremely powerful at certain points, it just doesn't do what we would need it to do in the long run here. 7th place here, Sky Striker. Holy Mystic Mind, Batman. Dennis here definitely showed the world that once again you've got a powerhouse situation where you need key utility cards in order to blank out the format. Man, this deck is really teched out. Between like Chalices, Droplets, Lightning Storms, obviously like Metaverse and things in here as well to kind of round out things. This feels once again about what I would really expect for this particular deck. Hand trap ratio might feel a little bit cut back here because we do have only double Ash, double Veiler, but we do have the imperms in here as well. I know a lot of these builds are like, you want to see like Nibiru's, Crows, and things in the main deck. Cutting back on those particulars opens up the door for, I would say, a little bit more room overall for deck building. I also like the 1-up Change of Heart in here. Hey, it's an instant spell in the graveyard. If you're going second, I'll take it. Next up here, 6th place, Tearalaments. Okay, so we got Fusion Substitute in here. We've actually talked about how Fusion Sub was kind of starting to show its way into the format. A lot of people were definitely kind of happy to see it. Now, the other big thing here that I like to see with this is we're triple skill draining in here. Honestly, the only real things the skill drain really hurts you for are what? Like, turning off your Draco Stapelia and your Winda. I also see that we have the Earth Adignister in here as well for a giant super poly target. But in terms of like developments for Tearalaments, this feels like a very TCG built version of the deck, and that's what you really need to see when it comes to these things, is like the cool innovations and developments to basically allow this deck to adapt to our metagame versus some of the other, I guess, not centralized choices out here. Next up here is our Flunder list. So Flunder, this particular build has foregone and thrown away good old Mystic Mine. All right. But this build is playing Triple Duality, Triple Extract, Triple Prosperity. Okay, so there should never be a time in this deck's life. Holy mother of just... I feel like you could brick on so many pot cards in this. We have the Dark Rollers for board breaking. I see that we are playing the mini Simorg package in here as well. It does put extra bodies on the field. It does facilitate some of the additional things that you want to do with a deck like this, all right? Like, I think that's the important stuff overall, is just the power that you're getting with a deck like this. So, Plunder? Okay, it's definitely interesting to see how this deck has shaped itself up for this format, to be honest with you, because this looks so weird on paper. Next up here, 4th place, is Tearalaments with Eldritch. So, once again, we pull that same idea that we saw in lower top cut here, where we're bringing these skill drains in with this deck, and we're using floodgates on a fusion-based strategy. So basically, we're making big beat sticks. That's the entire life purpose of this deck. And you know what? You don't see skill drain? That's fine. You got access to, you know, your wide array of things. You got Millennium Miser Strict here. You have the Dragostapelius. And then, if things go even further wrong, it's not like you don't have access to DDV in your side deck. Like, your whole side deck is meant to kind of help with the meta. So overall, first time I've seen the Eldritch package being played with this, but I do think that this opens up a door here for some really cool ideas that, once again, more and more players might be able to pick up and have some fun with. Good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Next up here is 3rd place Sprite. Now, this is one of the first lists that I've seen that has been playing Gamma. All right, Gamma acting as another level 2 that you can e-telly out. Also, you know, having it act as that immediate body for you. Excellent. I also see that we are playing the level 2 tuner here that can act as a level 8, so you can actually cheese out Baron de Fleur in this deck. We're also playing Triple Crossout Designator, baby. We have the 1 Ghost Ogre in here just so we can cross out Designator it. Same thing with the 1 Veiler. And of course, the 1 Dupe Frog for the Swap Frog shenanigans. This looks pretty straightforward on paper. We also have the 1 Nightmare Corruptor in the side deck. So if you need to have access to it to hand it to your opponent so they can't play the game, you know, making your Despia matchup just a little bit easier, man. Feels really, really good. But once again, more basic Sprite shenanigans. All looks very, very straightforward on paper here. Next up here is 2nd place Math Mech. Wow, this Math Mech deck made its way through the top cut here. We are playing Final Ligma in this list. We are playing the new of the Link 2 that we just got in Power of the Elements, actually. I've seen a little bit of hit or miss with that particular variant, but it does look like it's covering its bases here. I see that we are also playing Small World in this deck. I don't know how a lot of people really feel about seeing Small World applications within this deck, but you know what? I understand why we're trying out just bridging the gap, getting additional searches, because we do have the mini Code Talker package in here as well, up at the top right there. Also, you know, Dot Scraper, things like that. So not only, you know, are you getting to do full combo with Math Mech, you also have your mini package to just start searching for your Code Talkers to extend out into this really huge field. So no real worries, right, ladies and gentlemen? Next up, we also have 1st place here. Taking down this regional was none other than good old Sprites. Oh, man. You know, seeing Sprite wins feels really interesting. I also see that we're playing an Iria, the Water Charmer, in here, so you can capitalize and have access to your opponent's graveyard, and then, of course, when it exits the field, you get access to Tutor. I also see that we're playing Pixies in here. A lot of people basically really threw away Pixies. Like, I know a lot of these variants out here just didn't care about having Pixies in the main, but looks like this worked out. Also, only 2 Prosperity. I guess it's so you don't dead draw see the other one, but I think that that's overall fine. But overall, your regional breakdown for this event was pretty straightforward. I actually have a couple of more deck lists from the top 32. All right, so for 10th place here, we have another Math Mech list. So, man, you clearly see like the defining powers here of the format. 2 Math Mech decks within top 16. Might have been more, but I don't have confirmation on that. I also see, once again, there's that Small World package to get you in on that searching, but the difference between this and the second place list was that inclusion of that Code Talker extension package in the deck. But I think either way, it's fine because you see like your differences in terms of deck builds, but having the more streamlined approach for this works out. Like, there's no issues doing the easier package to do your thing. I also like the fact we have the gammas in here as well. I have not seen a lot of gammas in this deck, but I mean, it's free bait off the sign-up mining if your opponent tries to ash you. And just slam down the gamma and laugh at your opponent. Seems super straightforward and easy to me in terms of resolving things. And then we also have Subterror, baby, pulling off a 15th place finish out here. I gotta clap for this one because Subterror has been on the struggle bus. Man, oh man, Mystic Mines, good old Hidden Cities, and Necro Valley out here coming together to detour and make the opponent go, oh my gosh. Like, I hate it here. Like, that is why this particular engine is just so dominating. Such good hand traps, or good floodgates. And, of course, summon limit here to detour and pressure down your opponent. Your entire extra deck down here is just super poly targets plus, you know, Dragoon. The fact that you can actually put Dragoon on the field in this deck and just laugh at your opponent and be like, what are you going to do? Just says a lot about the overall functionality of this format. So, that is everything I have for you out of the New Jersey event. Guys, please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.